You're watching NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. It is a mailbag. As we do every week, we answer your questions here live on NFL Daily. A super chat to begin from the greatness of the Raiders. What's your take on UCLA quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson? Still not a truly complete passer, but I love the athletic ability. I think he's a draftable player. We'll see exactly where he checks out when I do my real scouting later on in the year once I have enough of the 2022 All-22, because I don't want to get too far in October, November, because there's NFL games going on, so it's more of a mid to late December and into the draft season where I really study them hard. But live, I've watched plenty of DTR, and I love the athletic ability. And in a backup quarterback, that is what I want in the modern-day QB. If you can't run around and make plays with your legs, personally, I'm not that interested. From Uology, a.k.a. Jace, here to remind everyone that Geno is basically playing equal to Jalen Hurts, yet Hurts is the one getting hyped. Hurts has been without Rams-level talent, acquisition like Stafford with the Rams. I will say this about Geno. This is a Cowboys fan, by the way, in case you can't tell. Geno's been awesome this year. That's not really a burn against Hurts. Geno is your clear-cut, for me, comeback player of the year, and we all owe him an apology because he's been way better than we thought to. So I will sing the praise of Geno, who has genuinely played like a top 10 QB this year. David Prince, who will retire first, Rodgers, Ryan, or Brady? I feel like Brady will be last because he's divorced and now just wants to play football. You laugh, but I'm not kidding. I wonder if this is it for Matt Ryan. He kind of got screwed by the Colts a little bit when ownership said, let's play Sam Ehlinger. That's what happened, by the way. But he didn't look very good either. I'm going to go Ryan, Rodgers, Brady in that order, possible freezing cold take. The greatness of the Raiders again, $5. Tom, if you have it, who's your mock top 5 defensive tackles? Not necessarily in any order. Jalen Carter out of Georgia, Brian Brzee out of Clemson, Sika Ika is next up there out of Baylor. It's a little bit thin after that grouping in terms of the clear-cut, I got to pull up my list here, defensive tackle prospects. I'm probably going to botch the pronunciation here, but Kalajikansi, I think I'm mispronouncing the first name. I don't have my pronunciation guide in front of me. Out of Pitt, has been really good, and we know how that tends to equate to how hype goes there. After that, I'm torn between Jervon Dexter from Florida, who I like but hasn't been consistent enough yet. Keandre Coburn from Texas is a nice player, and Maisie Smith, or Maisie Smith, what he should go by, because he plays for Michigan. Also good players there, but I go Carter, Brzee, Ika, and then I think the Pitt kid, and I'll go Keandre Coburn after that. Elijah Don, if the Raiders lose to the Colts, is Josh McDaniels getting fired? Probably not, because I don't know if Mark Davis can afford that, but he should. If the Raiders lose to Indy and Jeff Saturday and the assistant to the quarterback's coach calling the plays, fire Josh McDaniels. That means you failed as a coach. I'm sorry. Get him out of there. I know Raiders fans want to go home, and I get it. You were a playoff team last year, and you've blown three different three-score leads this season. That's an embarrassment. So what do you think? Should the Raiders fire Josh McDaniels? If you're a Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs fan, vote with what they should do, not what you want them to do. Y for yes, N for no. It's the pinned comment on today's video. If the ad break comes here, take advantage of it and let us know. Lucky King, would the Raiders trade up to get a quarterback? If you're drafting top 5, I think you owe it to yourself as an organization to consider it. You don't have to do it, but you're really close. You have Derek Carr, who you have an option basically on this year with his contract. You should consider. You should do your scouting, and if you are in love, and I mean actually in love, not rose-colored glasses, in love with what the idea of the top QB prospect is, then you should consider it. I don't think they would, but we got 2+ months of football to figure out what's going to happen with the Raiders, and then of course the offseason. Eric Burton, how many QBs go in the first round? Over, under 4.5. I'm going under. You will see, assuming they come out, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud. I don't love Will Levis, but the hype around him and from the people who I know a lot more about where players will end up going say he's going to be a first-round pick. I could see maybe a Hendon Hooker sneaking into round 1. That's 4, even if so. Anthony Richardson should not go pro. He needs to go back to school. He's not going round 1. I don't understand the Tanner McKee love at all. Other than that, you're looking at some day 2, day 3 guys. So I hammer the under on 4.5 as we sit in early November. Now, speaking of betting on football and draft props, BetUS will have you covered, especially around draft season. They're giving you a 125% deposit bonus at chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code NFLDaily for a 125% deposit bonus. The comeback player of the year odds right now, how about Geno Smith, who nobody was betting on before the year began? Understandably now your betting favorite. Then it's Saquon, big gap, McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, and Nick Gates, the Giants offensive lineman, come back from that gruesome leg injury, which is kind of more honorary than actually going to win the award. It'll be Geno, by the way. Go bet, chatsports.com/bet, promo code NFLDaily. David Prince, $2. Should the Cowboys take the hit and trade Zeke? Who wants to trade for Zeke, though, is your problem. I think if the Cowboys had real trade interest, and this is, of course, next offseason, he means if the Cowboys had real trade interest, they would strongly consider it. There isn't any. Nobody wants that contract. It's not a good contract to trade for right now for a guy averaging 4.1 yards per carry. That's not interesting to teams. What I think will happen this offseason is Zeke will not be back on his current contract. The Cowboys will either have him take a pay cut, he will agree to one, or they will cut him. I don't think anyone's going to want to trade for him. That is what's going to happen with Zeke. Much like Tank Lawrence, Amari Cooper, Lyle Collins, the option exists this year for Dallas. True or lore, should the Niners draft offensive line? I think you mean all day or on day 2, whatever the draft is. You have to have the right player there, of course. But yeah, I think offensive line should be a big priority for the Niners with age, injuries, and free agency and not great play really hitting those trench players. Tobias Russell, why hasn't Will Fuller signed? He's not retired, for those of you who might have seen that report. There was the fake video game one, and he is retired per the NFL, which is he's on their website, NFL.com, as retired because he didn't sign the team this year, which is true for every player who has not signed the team this year. So Odell Beckham is retired in NFL.com. It's just not accurate. I don't know why he hasn't signed. Could be medical. Could be all the weird stuff that went down in Miami last year. I wonder if he's done. It is November, and Will Fuller is not yet signed. The PED suspension, I think, raised some red flags, but I don't have a great answer for you. It's weird. I have to go one. I'm going to go injuries. Among the NFL free agents, not a great group I know, in early to mid-November, who do you want to sign? Drop that player's name for me in the comments section. Evidence, I'm pretending a shocker. Lamar Jackson refuses to go back to Baltimore. He might set out to pick up his 5th-year option. Then he will go to New Orleans on a 7-year, $279 million deal. It's $40 million per year. So as weird as this is, depending on what the guaranteed money is, if it's fully guaranteed he does it, that's actually under market value for 7 years, which sounds ridiculous, but that's not 40. I think he'd get more there. The Lamar Jackson storyline, we'll monitor that one in the offseason because that's not going away until he gets paid. That's just the reality here. From the RC Plane Builder, where are Drake London and Kyle Pitts? Why can't underperforming Mariota give them the ball for touchdowns? Falcons fans like myself see Ritter sooner rather than later before we consider 2023 QBs. Well, at this point, you're not going to be in 23 quarterback range, so you buy time for Desmond Ritter to show what he can do at some point. In reality, I think you got to blame a little bit of the scheme, but they're not getting targeted enough from Mariota. The Falcons have won games because their ground game has been awesome, but remember this part. Drake London and Kyle Pitts were not drafted for Marcus Mariota. They were drafted for whoever becomes the Falcons franchise QB, be it Ritter or somebody else. So that's why they've been underperforming. The talent's there. They're getting open some. I mean, Mariota had Pitts for a touchdown to probably win the game against the Chargers, and he overthrew him. I think it's a quarterback thing, unfortunately. We are almost to 321,000 subscribers here. That is awesome, guys. Thank you all so much. Help us keep growing the channel by subscribing for free right now. A $5 super chat from Jess. Thank you, Jess. The Bears got, I will round myself here and go, all of the money in cap space next year. Who are some good free agents that we could pick up on the offensive line, defensive line, and edge this offseason? So some names to monitor. I'll go offensive line first here. I think Orlando Brown is an intriguing name with some overlap there with the Chiefs front office. Jack Conklin has been a bit banged up. He's going to be a free agent. It's not a great guard group. You could maybe consider Elton Jenkins. I doubt the Packers let him leave, but who knows? He's been better at guard than tackle, which I don't appreciate him playing so far this year. Other notable free agents, as I look at my in-depth list here, you can go after Mike McGlinchey if you want. Might not be super appealing. I don't think there's... God, the guard group sucks. You're probably going to tackle more than anything. Defensive line, edge, etc. here. At the edge rushing group, you got some older players, right? You could always try to bring back Robert Quinn. Probably not. Yannick Ngakoue makes some sense. Clowney. Marcus Davenport's going to be a free agent. J.J. Watt, if you want to look that route. Along the defensive line overall here, Javon Hargrave, Dalvin Tomlinson, maybe you revisit Larry Ogunjobi again. Under the radar run stopper is Greg Gaines. I wonder if Yannick Ngakoue ends up being a good target there for the Bears. But they have money to spend, and they will spend this offseason. From Vince, Bills and Chiefs weren't that great this week. Does that open up the AFC tremendously for many teams? Tremendously? No. Does it give you more hope? Yes, it does. I'll also make note that the Jets and Titans might be playoff teams, both. Jets are maybe the more uncertain one because the AFC South sucks this year. But, yeah, they weren't great that week. Remember, you never have your A game every week. Teams have bad games. Other teams have bad games while good teams have great games. So, yes, it is not a guarantee, much like last year, that the Bills or Chiefs win the AFC. But they are still the betting favorites at this point, and they should be. From Doug Looney, will Ndamukong Suh play again in the NFL? Kind of falls in the Will Fuller category, right? That's November and they haven't signed yet. Maybe not. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe he just wanted too much money or he was only going to play for a certain amount and no one gave it to him. We'll see, but there's a very real chance that 35-year-old Suh is done. Head down to the comments section now and let me know who your favorite NFL team is. Drop that team, not teams, just singular team, in the comments. From Michael, the Seahawks have an out in the Jamal Adams contract, which I'll pull up, by the way, here. Should we move on from Adams next year? I mean, don't you have to consider it, if only because he just can't stay healthy? I'm looking right now. He's got a little bit of injury guarantee next year, so not the worst there. If you cut him post June 1st, the Seahawks save $11 million in 2023 and save about $9 million in 2024. You're still eating a bunch of dead money. I would say they give him one more year. And if that fails, when there are no more injury guarantees that I can see, they cut him in 2024. You give him one more year, and if not, you admit the mistake and move on.